They want to see your actual space. They want to see your clients, your real-time clients, other people that look and talk and speak and act just like them. And we have to remember that your online presence should look exactly like your in-person presence.
Welcome in on another episode of the KIPS podcast, where I have guest Jessica Maurer, where we're going to be talking about client retention. Now, Jessica is a well-known business consultant. She's worked for a lot of great companies out there in the fitness industry. She's done fitness managing. She's done instructing for different certifications, created education for a lot of great certification. And we're going to be talking about client retention strategies for personal trainers. Now, this is something, especially right now, it's about to end 2025, going into the new year. How can we hit the ground running, retain our clients, attract new clients, and make sure that we're adding in that personal element? That is a big key that we're going to be talking about in this episode, the personal element of being a trainer. That is something that I've talked about in actually blog posts, other videos, the soft skills associated with being a trainer. Now, interpersonal skills, diving into those, talking about active listening, making sure that when a client is talking to you, that you are not just putting in your own input, you are providing meaningful context, you're remembering things, and being somebody that is not trying to one up your client. You do not want to be that type of trainer. You want to make sure that your client feels comfortable coming to you on a weekly basis, sharing details, because often you get that as a trainer. You get clients that really feel that their trainer is someone that they trust and that they want to just dive into things that have been bothering them other than exercise. Yes, we want to make sure we're providing great programs, taking them through programs that help them achieve their different life goals, but at the same time, that human element is still there. So these are things that we're going to be talking about in this episode. Make sure you drop a comment on one of your favorite client retention strategies. And let's get to the episode with Jessica. Jessica, for our listeners, can you give a breakdown of your history in the fitness industry, how you got started and what you're doing now?
Absolutely. So I got started teaching yoga on the Knoll at my local university. I had left the dance world and I knew I wanted some type of movement in my life. So I just started teaching some basic yoga out to my boyfriend and my friends when I was a freshman in college. And I started to gain some attention. And so the campus recreation director came over to me and said, you can't do this for free because we charge $1 over here. So why don't you come teach for us?
Yeah.
And that's really how my career got started in the fitness industry, was teaching to people because I knew that it made me happy. And then I went on to work in college rec for a long period of time. I taught a number of different classes thanks to understanding fitness education through my boss, who was so gracious and introduced me to this idea of live conferences and live education. I went to a ton of different conferences when I was just in college to kind of get a feel of what I wanted to teach and what did I want to have in my toolkit. And I started just collecting certifications like Pokemon. I went into management at that point, right? And started to manage the group fitness schedule as well as the personal training schedule. And I really learned through that I loved helping other people find joy in movement. It wasn't enough that I liked the movement. I started to realize as I moved into that managerial role that it really was about helping other people find the joy. And that allowed for me to start moving into live education. I became a master trainer for a number of different organizations. I traveled around to small little towns across the nation, helping instructors learn things like gliding discs and vendor balls and Tabata boot camp and Liebert fitness, BOSU balance trainers, through workshops and through training, which led me to move into the conference circuit. And what I realized in being a master trainer was that we as fitness professionals were really good at being good at fitness, but we're not good at the tech side of things. We're not good at organizing. We're not good at systems. We really hate spreadsheets.
Yep.
And I started to create social media organizations or social media procedures and plans that would simplify the fitness professional's life. And I
Nice.
realized that I was really interested in that side of the business as well, getting my
Yeah.
hands a little bit dirtier in the brand awareness and the marketing side of things. And that opened up the door for me to become the director of education, the director of fitness. I became the vice president at different types of companies. I became a ghostwriter where I was pretending to be these people or organizations online, really diving into website design and social media design. But when it came down to it, it wasn't the design I really loved. It was the strategy that got me to the design that I
Yeah.
really loved.
That's
And
fun.
that opened up my career so much to be able to leave what I call the dancing monkey years behind. I left behind the years of being a dancing monkey, and I got to start going around and educating people on how do you go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling organized.
Yeah.
How do you have systems in your life, whether you're a personal trainer or a group fitness instructor, where you're not having to make those split-second decisions all the time? You've already made the decision. You're just following through with the plan.
Yeah.
Now, I'm the director of education of the Mental Wellbeing Association. I'm still helping people find joy, and I'm a consultant. I help people really understand why they need to have good professional habits.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, you mentioned so many things just in your background there. I'm like, oh man, I wish I can go on this tangent. But as I joked to you before we hit record, I need to be a little more strict with the topic of the episode and the time limit. But that's just another reason to have you on in the future for another recording and talk about things like a conference or something that did pop up was about all the different roles that you went through, because I think sometimes people get stuck in those. But we are going to be talking about client retention.
Yeah.
Strategies, ways, different things that are a part of this big topic, especially when we're recording this. It is the end of 2025, going into a new year. These are things that people need to refresh, need to hit the ground running, especially when the audience for getting into a workout program, joining a gym, all these different things, the audience is very warm on these. They are really wanting to dive into these things. They're looking for something that's going to be the solution for them. So what a great episode to talk about. Let's kick it off. I know this is a big question in terms of it can go different ways, but what are some of your favorite strategies right now for client retention as a personal trainer? Going to be specific there.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that we need to come to terms with is that people want to see personalized marketing strategies. They're tired of seeing AI photos already. They're tired of seeing stock images.
I like it.
What they want to see is themselves and their friends on your social media. They want to see themselves in your quote unquote newsletter that you might send out, on your website, on your blog. They want to see other people that look like them. They're tired of seeing the same stock images over and over and over again. They want to see your actual space. They want to see your clients, your real-time clients, other people that look and talk and speak and act just like them. And we have to remember that your online presence should look exactly like your in-person presence. So if you are embarrassed about your in-person appearance, like the front of your storefront or your gym training facility, now is your chance, my friends, to upgrade it to where you can in the new year start really showing your online and your in-person experience being the same.
Yeah.
Now, the other strategy that I really hope people hone in on in 2026 is the idea of personalized training plans. We have let technology kind of take over a little bit when we have repeatedly given out the same plan, no matter if it's a woman in her 20s or a man in her 60s. We're like, hey, we're going to do push-pull. We're going to do a total body. This is your cardio. This is my recipe, right? And I'm done. Well, here's the problem. Only 24% of Americans are working out 3 times per week. They want to know that you've taken the time to actually listen to them about what they liked. Yeah. And if they didn't like strength training, they want you to help them find what they do like. We as coaches, we're matchmakers. So matchmake your clients to the type of fitness that they want to do, not the type of fitness you know they need to do, but the type of fitness that they really want to do.
I like that a lot. I want to take it a step back. I was just talking with somebody last week about some of these fundamentals here with marketing, but they had mentioned something that I feel like is a common term, and that has to do with finding your avatar. some people, I feel like they hear these types of keywords and somebody just listening to that about how do you personalize your marketing to what I'm training in the audience I want to build. They might be in that position that they're thinking, well, I want everybody. Well, that's pretty hard to market to. And that would take a lot of money. And you want to hopefully start paying your bills. You want to start growing your business. What are some of those beginner steps that if you are trying to figure out that your avatar in order to market to a certain audience, what would you recommend? How do you go through that process?
It is really hard for us to come to terms with the fact that we're not for everyone. And as much as I love all of you listeners out there, you're not super target and you're never going to make everyone happy. It's just how it is. You're really good at what you're really good at. Own that. And I think as fitness professionals, sometimes we work from a place of scarcity where we're so worried that if we say no to something, then no other opportunity is ever going to come our way. And so we think, oh, I have to take this client. I don't know anything about prenatal training, but I'm going to train this pregnant client. That's a terrible idea. Just out the gate, right? Or I don't know anything about active agers, but I'm going to work with this man who just had a hip replacement. If you don't know anything, that's not where you need to be. So what I recommend my clients to do is if you could clone one client and only have that one client, as many clones as you wanted of that person, who would that person be? Because that's going to tell you what gender, what age, what athletic performance style they are, what socioeconomic bracket that they might be in. So think of your favorite client, the one who, like, if they ever left, you may leave the industry. That person is your avatar. Now, on the opposite hand, we got to think about who we don't want to work with. And so think about the client who you're always secretly have your fingers crossed is not going to show up, right? We all have them. And that's your energy vampire. But here's the thing about energy vampires. Whoever might be sucking your soul is actually someone's soulmate. So if you don't love working with them, I bet you can matchmake them with another trainer in your area who does love that person. That might be their jam. Pass it on and then tell that trainer, hey, these are the people I'm really looking for. If any come your way, send them my way. And I know these are the people you're looking for. So if any of them come my way, I'll send them your way. And that reciprocity is going to be what helps us move forward as an industry.
Yeah. And that's being very business forward, things that it takes a bit to learn those skills. And I do want to play the devil's advocate, the flip side of it on potentially giving away a client. If you are a new trainer, would you find any benefit in taking on a client that you maybe aren't ready for or that would be good for experience-wise? What do you think?
In my personal training career, what I would do with a client that came to me that I was a little unprepared for was that I would say, great, we can start in 3 weeks. And then I would spend the next 3 weeks researching that client inside, upside down, right? I would want to know everything about that demographic. So then I'm promising that I am going to work with that client. I'm going to keep them in my roster. I'm going to educate the mess out of myself before we ever actually meet. And what you'll find is if you're honest with your clients of saying, well, I don't know a lot about hypertension. I'd like to do some research before we meet. I'd love to have our orientation meeting and then schedule your first appointment with me on A, B, and C. They're going to be so receptive to that. You're taking care of them. You listen to what they have to say, and they know that you're going to take care of. They only have one body. They don't want to go to someone who's not going to take care of their one body. Yeah.
And that's a great segue to our next question with developing trust and things that aren't shown or taught in really a certification manual and an entry-level certification manual, that the soft skills that are very important to being a personal trainer. That has been something over the last year. I've made a lot of content on soft skills and how important they are and the relationship building connection, because yes, your foundation in exercise science is very important. And it's going to be very useful for working with your client base and your niche, whatever client that's standing in front of you, but you also need to develop a relationship with them. You're not just going to spit out the exercises, whatever you've programmed, and then just stand there silently. Nobody's going to want to train with you. It'll be one of the worst boring sessions, and they will go find a new trainer. So my question to you, Jessica, is about building a relationship. How do you recommend trainers go about that? How, or what are some of your best tips for a trainer listening that, oh, I need to implement this right away?
So there's this amazing theory in psychology that's called the false consensus effect. And it essentially says that we believe that everyone else likes what we like. We have the false belief that everything we enjoy, other people enjoy. We specifically have this as personal trainers and fitness professionals. We assume that because we think fitness is fun, that other people think fitness is fun. And because we like, right? Because we love yoga, everyone must love yoga. They just haven't tried it yet, right?
Yeah.
Or CrossFit. I love CrossFit, but not everybody loves it. But we have it in our head, this false consensus effect. And when it comes to building relationships with clients, you got to drop your ego. You got to let go of this idea that what you're going to present to them is going to be something they like. Yeah. They're going to lie to your face and tell you that's something they are going to do, right? But what you need to do is ask more open-ended questions to really find out, is this something that if I didn't show up tomorrow, would you do this on your own? Are you going to come into the facility on your own and do this? Or would you like to try something else? Remember, you're not a trainer, you're a matchmaker. And we're trying to help people really hone in on their movement taste buds. What tastes good to you? There's no right workout. There's no right type of fitness. Whatever is right is going to be personalized to someone. So if you really want to build strong connections, it starts with communication about likes and dislikes. What have you tried before that you did like? What have you tried before you didn't like? What have you seen that you want to go try? Great, let's go try those things together. But oftentimes we as fitness professionals, we approach this as, I know you need 3 days of heavy lifting. I know you need 150 minutes of cardio exercise. And we start prescribing things before we ever actually ask them, hey, do you actually like fruit? Oh, you don't? Oh, well, you need to try vegetables instead.
So right, very right with those. I asked somebody this the other week about the unique items that have come up with being a trainer. I know that I have been told before that my clients, I don't want to do squats because it's going to make my legs too bulky. And this client was very adamant about that. And think about that if you're listening. That makes a very unique situation moving forward. But at the same time, don't do squats until you've built up enough trust to get them to trust that you're prescribing or you are developing a program that's going to help them towards their goals. If a client says they don't like to get on the ground, that could be for a plethora of reasons why they don't want to get on the ground. Don't put them on the ground. They don't like to do burpees. Don't program burpees. It's one of those things, exactly how you mentioned. We just think people like exercise when they don't. It's probably the hardest thing for the overwhelming majority of people out there. And I kind of flip it. What have been some unique items that have come up in your with clients that you can recall right off the bat?
I definitely have worked with the I don't want to get on the ground like that. I think that has been the most prevalent in my life. However, the client that sticks out the most is the client who refused to go into the weight room, wanted to work with a personal trainer, but did not want to be trained at all in the weight training room. So exactly. So we had to find really creative ways to incorporate strength training. She just did not feel comfortable or safe in the environment. Great. Let's use the group fitness studio when it's not in session. We use the racquetball rooms when we
Great examples.
Outside, right? We use the gym often. And I found other pieces of equipment that were mobile. Okay, great. Well, let's get a medicine ball. There's so much you can do with a medicine ball. Gliding discs, bender balls. Like we started to use small tools and created a workout that was really specific to her without ever having to put her in an environment that made her feel so uncomfortable.
And what you pointed out, though, is a very real thing for a lot of people out there, a lot of individuals out there. The weight room can be very scary.
Yes.
You think if you were to open up Instagram right now and you were to scroll through your Explore feed, if you most likely work in the fitness industry, if you're listening to this podcast, and you'll see a bunch of gym memes and you'll see a lot of people with very tight or minimal clothing, and that can be very intimidating for a lot of people. So put yourself in their shoes and create those situations. What would you recommend for a trainer? You pointed out some really good examples there. New trainer on the scene. How do they go about learning more about their gym to be able to think on their feet like that?
Oh, I think that is all about being in your space. So sometimes as a fitness professional, especially as a manager, we don't actually go into the gym facility unless we have to work. And the only way you get to know your facility is if you're actually in it, not to work. So plan on going to your facility before and after your clients. Spend time getting to know your layout. Get to know the people who work at your facility, right? Know everybody at the front desk, know everyone in kid care, because these are the people who are going to refer your future business to you. Get to know them all and show up at different times. Even if you're not an early morning person, go for a few days to get the feel of what the early crowd is like. Go at different times if you're available to see who's working, what pieces of equipment are being used, and kind of get to know the nooks and crannies of your gym. But oftentimes, we're very busy as fitness professionals. We're in and we're out. We're in and we're out. Well, if you really want to get to know your space, you got to spend time there. So spend time there.
Agree. That was one of the tips that I got very early on in my career by one of the most popular trainers at the gym. When I first became a personal trainer, I was talking about working out, but also talked about the group fitness rooms. When they are not in use, it is a great way to get a little more personal with your clients and being able to ask them without any distractions. And you have this humongous room that you can potentially, or I'll say they can potentially let their guard down and if they are goofy, they'll be more goofy. If they are like to crack jokes and worried about, what they're going to say, they will do all these different things. If they're worried about looking bad during exercise, here is a room that they can not worry about any of those things. And that is a great tip right there. And I want to go back because you actually mentioned this early on about adding in the personal part of being a personal trainer. How and what are some things that you can think of off the top of your head that are great ways in that first month, 3 months, you got a new client to just get that personal element into training?
I think it's instead of asking things like, how was the workout today? It's instead, how are you feeling right now? Right? It's changing the content from sets and reps, from the idea of the burn or the pump, and instead about, did you actually enjoy what you just experienced? Are you feeling overly exhausted or are you excited? Are you feeling very accomplished or are you feeling kind of defeated? And I think you can offer words too to help them figure out what they feel by just simply saying, on a scale of 1 to 5, between feeling empowered at 5 and feeling like a failure at 0, where are you on that scale? What did that exercise make you feel? I think sometimes too that we have to hone in on the fact that consumers purchase based on trust, credibility, and loyalty. Trust being number one. In the beginning, they're not going to have a ton of trust in you. So you've got to be personable with them. If you're goofy, be goofy. If you're dead serious, be serious. Like, be your authentic self, because the more authentic you are, the more authentic they feel they can be with you. And so we have to start building up that trust factor and then giving them the tools to express how they're feeling in certain situations. The other one, I know that I brought this up before, but I think it's super important for personal trainers, is to ask, with this plan, would you feel comfortable coming in and doing this without me? Because if they don't, then you've got a problem.
Yeah. There's a piece here that I think is a good one to dive into with your own trainer profile. And I think this is something that might be debatable, or it might be something controversial, that I would say that when I train people, when I work with people, that is, I don't want to say it's 100% different persona, but there are things that the ways that I will act in a professional setting, that when I'm at home and around my wife or my family, that and my friends, that I just wouldn't say or do. But in a professional setting, people know that I'm trustworthy, that my personality is what I would feel comfortable with. How do you measure that? How do you rate that? How do you kind of develop where you have your own trainer
persona?
Persona.
So
what do you
true.
think about all that?
We all have it. It's that person that you turn into when you get to work. And whether you work in the fitness industry or not, everyone has this on persona, right?
Yeah.
And you as the coach, you have to decide, are you a drill sergeant? Are you a cheerleader, right? Are you the best friend? Like, what is your type of persona that you're going to display? Now, when you're kind of picking your persona, it needs to still be you, like who you would be if doors were closed, but just turned up to 11, right? So it has to still be in alignment. If you come home and you're very laid back and you're trying to be the drill sergeant at work, it's not gonna work for you,
Not gonna work.
right? You're gonna wonder why you're burnt out. You're burnt out because you're acting, and that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of work. So instead, pick that persona that is you, but just amp it up, to 11 when you're on the floor, when you're with a client, and you're in the group fitness studio. But I think personas are really important because they are a way that we as fitness professionals can lean in to whatever the client needs. So we can be overly cheerleader if that's what that person needs.
A quick break in this video. If you are needing CEUs, make sure that you head to the link that's in the description where you can find all our online courses that have pre-approvals with NASM, ISSA, ACE, AFA, NCSF, and with Nesta. We of course offer free content on our YouTube channel, but if you're needing professional ed, with some of you having the full amount to recertify, make sure you head to that link. And now let's get back to the video. Spot on. And I think that is one of those things that early on, trainers will either have to learn the hard way or they'll have to learn it through experience, because it is a service you are offering. You are getting paid to do X, Y, and Z. You want to be professional. And if we're talking about retaining clients and you are saying things that probably shouldn't be said in a gym or acting in a manner that people do not want to invest hundreds of thousands potentially of dollars into you, you will probably have to look in the mirror and be like, okay, I need to clean this act up. I need to make sure that I have something that people want to invest their hard-earned money into. At the end of the day, they're working hard for that money, and you want to be the person that and every time that comes up, that a renewal comes up, here's my credit card, here's the cash, charge it, run it, because I really like everything you're bringing to the table, and being comfortable with it is very important, I think, as well.
I think you brought up such a good point. A lot of times trainers are so infatuated with other people on social media that they try to take what they see and emulate it and bring it to life in the gym. Yeah. There's a big difference, guys, between attention and retention.
Yeah.
The attention that someone may get on social media does not equate to the retention of the clients. Because when you're doing a lot of things for attention purposes, then the show is about you. It's your ego on display. And the comments and the likes are feeding your ego. But when you're a personal trainer, you're there to serve others. And so the retention factor has to be less about you and more about them. And I see this a lot when I'm consulting with gym facilities of like taking their personal trainer team off of the Instagram style of training and into the more personable style of training.
Yeah. I do want to move us to our quick hits here right now. And so with these, give me your initial reaction to them, and we'll see where it takes us. Okay. I want you to rank the following retention tools: incentives, giveaways, and word of mouth.
Word of mouth is number one.
Okay.
Yeah. Word of mouth is definitely number one. If you drove by a billboard and the billboard said, I know these are supposed to be quick hitters and now I'm going on a tangent, but if you drove by a billboard and the billboard said, best masseuse in town, what would you think? You'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Are you really the best?
Right? Are you really? But if your sister came to you and said, hey, this is the best masseuse in town, you'd be like, sold. Yeah. Word of mouth will beat any brand awareness marketing that you put out there. No paid ad can beat your sister, your neighbor, your best friend telling you something different than that ad. So word of mouth is number one. I think incentives are number two, and then giveaways are at the bottom.
How does a trainer work on word of mouth, install, and basically get this up and running?
I think that having Bring a Friend Day is something that should happen every single month. And I
I
know
dig
that
it.
a lot of gym chains don't like that idea because they're like, well, we're bringing in a ton of people who don't actually are not going to buy something. And how often do they turn into clients? Who cares? If it's 1 out of 12, that's a great stat anywhere else. So let's have Bring a Friend Day at least once a month. And that means that you're going to change their training session to be a partner style workout. And you're going to
Yeah.
say, hey, we're doing this. It's going to be a partner style workout. Who do you want to bring?
Yeah.
Who in your life do you want to come have fun with? And then that is a great way for you to start using word of mouth. The other thing is we can't just market ourselves on a digital space. You need to be out there in your community, shaking hands and kissing babies and being the mayor of Wellnessville wherever you live. You should be leading every 5K. You should be at every event that they have that's like a local pop-up for artists, for local businesses, for food, whatever it is. You need to be out there shaking hands and kissing babies because that too is word of mouth. That is it. That is in person. You're actually getting to meet people. You're actually showing your personality versus the stock image.
Follow up with that. Even if you're a trainer that works at a gym that does all the marketing for you,
They'll be out there.
okay.
You still need to be out there
Yeah.
because the gym's going to take care of the big marketing, right? But you should be taking care of that individual marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is one of the things I often see people, I'll say trainers, be hesitant with is they work for a big box gym. They think that the gym handles all my marketing for me, or I don't need a website. I don't need to do social media. I didn't need to do X, Y, or Z. My argument has always been, well, what if you leave? Well, what if you want to train somewhere else? Don't you want your own audience on the other business side of it? Well, if you are building an audience and you are bringing people into the gym because they saw your social media posts, they're on your email list, you're building this out and you have a community that's following you. When you want to raise, you want to say, hey, instead of $42 a session that I'm getting paid, I want 47. I want 52. I brought in X amount of members from the community. You have the best ticket in your back pocket to pull out and say, hey, look at all these people that I brought in. So that has always been my argument, but I like what you're saying about being out in the community, getting in front of people and talking, because you never know who's going to be like, oh yeah, I met this trainer at the farmer's market. I got introduced by my friend and I do want to start training now. I really like that example. I feel like you answered these next two ones, but I'm still gonna ask them. Technology is helpful for client retention.
Yes and no. Yes, if it's used appropriately. So technology doesn't have to necessarily mean expensive software or programming. Technology can be a low-tech option, but it's a great way for you to be able to track information about your clients. Maybe during a session, you're writing down their progress, right? They were able to lift this many weights for this many repetitions. This is what I think they should do the next time. You're kind of writing down your prescription, but maybe you're also jotting down like their dog's name or like a big event that they've got going on. And it's a great way that you can utilize technology as a cheat sheet kind of in your phone to be able to quickly be like, okay, Kathy's coming in. Her daughter's name's Isabella. They just got a brand new puppy. Granddaughter's on the way. You can just make sure that you have these conversation points that prove you've been paying attention, even though there's been a week or 2 weeks that has passed between. This also allows for you to start building that trust factor, right?
Yeah.
And I think technology can be super advantageous too when it's like things like sending out emails to your group so you're staying connected with people. It's ways that you can obviously track how often are they coming, how often are they not showing, who needs a little bit more love, who maybe isn't matched with the right fitness program because they're not being as diligent as possible. And then there's the flip side, where we start to get so wrapped up in this program and this program and this program and this program that we're admin heavy and we're now overloaded with missing passwords.
Yeah.
So I think if we can keep technology simple to a process that really fits your business and your scale and your size, then it makes a ton of sense because it helps you stay organized. And that is what clients are looking for.
Yeah. The name one really hits with me because I've always been really
Mhm.
bad with names. It's
Same.
to a point.
And I'd be like, don't you have a kid? That kid's name?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I even forget the names of the shows that I've watched seasons of. And I mean, that sounds crazy. Like if I've watched Sopranos, Shameless, and I will forget all of their names every single time. But anyways, I'm getting off too much of a tangent there. Last quick hit.
Mhm.
Community is key to client retention.
I think everyone has a different social battery. So yes, I strongly believe that community is the key of client retention, but it can't be forced down clients' throats. There are going to be certain clients who want to come see you because of the one-on-one experience. There are going to be
Yeah.
certain clients who want to come see you with one-on-one experience, but then take group fitness every other day.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be a community feeling within the training space. It doesn't necessarily have to be a community feeling during the one-on-one session, but there should be what I like to say is the cheers factor. This should be a place, the gym, your training facility should be a place where everybody knows the client's name. The front
Yeah.
desk worker knows it. The people that they walk by in the studio knows their name. Everybody knows everyone's name because the more it's like cheers, the more it feels like a family, the harder it is for them to break away from that. The more they're wanting to go because it's their safe place, it's their happy place. But I'm also really respectful of the people who are like, my social battery is tested. I'm done because I spent all day working a 9 to 5. And now I need just one person in the room with me, nobody else. So
I,
there needs to be a community factor in the big scheme of things.
I know you're a big pop culture fan, but I hope
Mhm.
some of the younger trainers got both of those jokes.
Reference this?
I got them, but I know that some listeners might be on the younger end. They might be like, what is it talking about with cheers? Are people like cheersing drinks like in the gym? Like, and then the Dolly Parton reference there. I'm just throwing it out there that those were just little references, but I caught them and I liked them.
Good. I'm glad.
A lot of good stuff in this episode when it comes to retention in terms of being a personal trainer, young trainer, experienced trainer, that it's more than the marketing end of it. You get you market to them, you advertise to them, you get them, and how do you retain them now? And especially with being a personal trainer, that element is so key. The personal part that you have emphasized and is so key. And before we sign off here, social media, website, all that kind of good stuff.
You can find me at jessicahmaurer.com, and that's Maurer, MAURER. That first R is tricky. So
Yes, it is.
jessicahmaurer.com. And I'm that on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. So everything is just Jessica H. Maurer, MAURER. And you can find me on all those platforms.
I was waiting for the sweet Maurer like power.
Maurer power. Yes, I will. I can't wait. Next time I come on, I'll tell you about Maurer power and how that's my future business with my son.
I dig it. Great stuff in this episode. Really a pleasure to have you on. And we'll have to get another episode under our belt.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Tyler. Great conversation. And thank you for all listening out there. Thank you so much.